Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. What's happening, party people? I kicked off the Tinker Day going down into Las Vegas proper. Met a guy down there, has a V70, a 2000 model GLT. He needs a lot of maintenance done on. Man, I sometimes forget that I am not supposed to be adding people to the schedule. So I got to be careful of that. I'm not going to try not to do that no more. I need to get the people that I have in the schedule done, get this car back home so I can get it registered, taken care of. That's lemonade. And then I can come back in about a month or two. So if you're not already on the schedule and you contact me, the best I think I could do is to meet with you for about an hour, maybe two. Assess where you're at with your car, help you get started on ordering parts, and then take care of you when I come back. I hope to be back in the Southern Cal area, this Southwest region, in mid-January. Kind of like I kicked off this trip mid-January. Like to come out this way mid-January. Climate will be warm enough for me to do things, run around the southern part of the United States when the weather is very cold up north. Hopefully help a lot of people. And then when spring hits, start moving up north, taking care of people, Midwest, and then as it gets warm, take care of folks in East Coast. Now, I've been really considering next year being a fish and fix tour, which basically means when I come to your area, somebody takes me fishing. After I get some fishing knocked out, get myself all cheered up and happy, then we go fix something. That means if you're not somebody that's interested in fishing, you might need to find somebody that is, so that they can take me fishing, and then after I do some fishing, I come fix your ride. So, strongly considering that for next year. That's going to be part of my therapy to help me get my mind clear and back up and running 100%. Right now, I'm still not 100%. I left somebody's airbag loose the other day. They get in the car, start driving, turn the steering wheel, airbag falls off in their lap. I'm not 100%. I'm just not. I need to get back to 100%. I think the cure to that is probably some fishing, more fishing. So, 2023 is probably going to be fish and fix. And then 2024, I'm very seriously consider doing a world tour. So, if you are in Australia and you could use some help with your Volvo, man, I'd be glad to work my way to Australia, help as many people as I can in Australia get their stuff fixed. If you are in Thailand, you need some stuff on your Volvo fixed, I'd like to come. If you are in Sweden, if you are in Norway, if you are in Germany, wherever you may be, as long as we not dodging mortars, I'm up to connecting and traveling the world 2024 to help as many people as I can get their cars fixed up so they can drive them another 4 or 5 years. You know, if we refresh all the maintenance on your car, it'll probably last 4 or 5 years before you need that service again. So, that's where I'm at. Let me get back to this S70. Yesterday, I replaced the tilt handle, and then I found the one that I got a couple months ago. So I have a spare tilt handle I'm going to try to get listed on my website later today. I also tried to fix the turn signal return. This car, the turn signal return is so stiff that when the clock spring hits it, it ain't strong enough to return it. So we'll probably have to replace this turn signal stock so that that can happen. I replaced the clock spring, didn't fix it. If I turn the steering wheel real fast, it'll do it, but normal driving, it doesn't do it. So that's a sad thing. Next thing I need to do is the final change on the transmission drain and fill. Then I need to get the windshield washer fluid system hooked up and plugged in. Then I need to get this door latch on the driver's side. You know, when you're going in and out of your car and you got a back seat and you want to put stuff in and out of the back seat, it really kind of sucks when you can't open the back door. You got to roll down the window, reach your hand in, unlock it, then open the door, then roll the window back up. It's kind of inconvenient. So I'm going to fix this latch on this rear door on the driver's side so that it'll unlock when they push the button or cycle the key twice. That's how it should be. So then I'll look, see if there's anything else I need to do on this car. Then I'll get started on lemonade, folks. So let's get cracking, get this transmission fluid drained and filled, and then get to looking on this door latch. The third drain on this transmission looks pretty good. That stuff has got a lot of red in it. It's pink. The magnet is really clean. So this is probably very good. We got this mount coming in a couple of days. That stuff gets saturated oil. It causes those mounts to deteriorate quicker. And this mount here absorbs the shift points. So you normally don't feel it shift when that mount is clean. See all this oil down here? This thing has a decent rear main seal leak. Hopefully that won't get any worse, and then keep driving without dealing with that right away. It's almost the only thing left to do on this car, rear main seal. When I'm doing these drain and fills, I don't normally replace this aluminum washer every time, but I want to make sure I do it the last time so it's not dripping out of that washer. The other drains, I just reuse the one that's on there. For the last one, I get a new washer and put it on that bolt. Since this is going to be my last fill, I'm a little more concerned about making sure I get 3.5 quarts in. And 3.5 quarts is about 1/4 inch under this ridge on this bottle, and that's where I got it. You got 1 quart, 2 quarts, 3, 3.5. So that's where I'm at, about 1/4 inch under this spot. That should be 3.5 quarts exactly. That's where I'm going to refill this thing to. Let's see what the tape measure. Alright, so it's 2 inches. 2 inches pretty much. 2 inches. So I want to go up 1 inch. Yeah. 1 inch is 1/4 inch below that. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm going to go with this. These bottles are designed not to chug while you pour them. I don't know why. If you pour them straight like they're designed to be poured, they always dribble down the front side. So I always pour them sideways, and I very seldom get the dribble. And I can get it poured in without making a mess. So that's how I do it. Something's going on with this transmission. As I'm filling it, if fluid starts filling up in the funnel, this transmission will actually cough back at me. So the funnel starts filling up, I stop pouring in. While it's going down, it'll cough back fluid up. I talked to my mechanic about that. He said the vent is likely clogged. Now these transmissions, they have a vent down close to the P&P switch. And if somebody don't know what that is and they plug that up, that could be a problem. Your transmission's fluid doesn't have a place to expand and contract. it could cause overpressurization inside the transmission, blow a seal out, then they got a major leak on your hands. So I'm going to pull this battery out, try to check that vent, make sure it's there. I pulled one out of the salvage yard just in case this one's messed up. So I'm going to check it. Hopefully it'll be in good shape. If it's not there, I'm going to try to install the vent on here and get this thing working properly. Another thing is it fills up the dipstick quicker, causes fluid to run back over the edge of the dipstick. I had the pan under there, fluid was dripping into the pan that I was trying to service it. So I probably lost 2 or 3 ounces of fluid that I was trying to service this thing with because of that vent not working properly. Now, I have a video that talks about my opinion about servicing the transmission. I don't know why people don't believe the video. I don't care how many miles you have on the transmission, what condition the transmission is in, where you got the transmission from, how it's shifting, blah, blah. If you suspect that the fluid is not fresh, I always recommend servicing your transmission. Every 50,000 miles is probably a good rule of thumb, unless you overheat it. Towing, driving fast in extreme climates, climbing the grade in the desert out here, Death Valley. If you heat that transmission fluid up and you ever see your needle rising on your temperature gauge, if that coolant's getting above 238 degrees, transmission fluid is probably above 210 degrees. Every 5 degrees you go over 215 degrees, you probably cut the life of that fluid in half. So you need to get that old fluid out of there, especially if it's overheat. You can pull a dipstick, smell it. If it smells burnt, change that transmission fluid. If your transmission dies because of it, so be it. I think most of that stuff came from the 60s, just like 3,000 mile oil changes. Don't do it. Get some fresh transmission fluid in your car. With the battery removed, I could see the vent. It appears that it's intact. So, right where this harness comes across, it has a little T in it, and right at that T is the vent. Right on the edge of the, whatever this thing is called. This thing is the lower radiator hose. Let me zoom in on it so you can see it. So there it is. That's the vent. It appears to be in good shape. The top of it turns around. So I'm going to assume the vent is okay. Not sure why it's possibly not venting properly. Hopefully it's venting properly and that won't be a problem. Let me go ahead and put the battery back in after I wipe up some more of this spilled transmission fluid. And then I'm going to replace the lens on this jewel because that got chipped. And I have a few jewel lenses to do that with. Now, if you get a lens that's chipped, especially if you're in a climate where it rains, take this lens off, fill the back of it with either some clear epoxy, some silicone or something. You don't want moisture getting in that chip and causing the inside of that light to decay with corrosion or water damage. About half of the vehicles I look in, these Volvo vehicles, have the battery improperly installed and the clip either missing or placed in the wrong position. Please go watch that battery install video, check your battery, make sure it's installed properly, and get that behind you. Another thing I noticed while driving this car is this headlight points up in the air a little bit, so I'm going to adjust this down after I replace the lens on it. Probably the worst thing that I experienced in replacing these lights on these mostly S&V 70s is people over tighten these screws on the back that mounts the headlights to this support here. Those things don't need to be much more than snug. I've never seen a headlight fall out because these screws came loose. Snug those things down and stop. They got these cast nuts in them that when you over tighten them, You break those loose, then you can't get these lights out later. Don't over tighten these 3 screws. Clear weld quick setting epoxy, 5 minutes. It's clear. I'm going to use that to fill this chip in here. I got a piece of tape on the other side of it. I cleaned it, and that stuff did dry pretty clear. So I'm going to fill that there and see how that turns out. Mix a little bit of epoxy in here and put it on there. Boy, the stuff I poured in there got a lot of bubbles in it. This stuff doesn't. I sure hope those bubbles settle out of that stuff. Wow. We'll see what happens. I'm going to give it a little bit. Got the motor out by opening the door latch. I don't know, about 80% around. And man, the motor is rusty looking, but it turns both ways. So I'm going to clean this rust off of here with a wire brush. Open this thing up and replace that chip. Boy, this thing sure does have some carbon looking stuff in there. I'm going to try to spray that out with some contact cleaner. But there's that little wafer I need to get out of there. Had it coming out a little bit. I'm going to use a tip of a old fuel pump relay. One of those tabs as a replacement to this wafer. Here's an old relay. Nobody has any business putting a relay this old back in their car. So that's one of the tabs off the relay next to that wafer. It's almost the perfect thickness, just a little bit lower, a little bit longer, so I'm going to snip it back just a little bit and put that in here. There it is. Cut a little piece off of it. Let me get it in there, get this motor back together, get this thing back together, seal that with some epoxy, put this latch back. I sprayed that thing with some contact cleaner, man. A lot of crap came out of there. So I'm trying to wait for it to dry and put this thing back together. Now, this tab off of this relay seemed to be just a little bit thinner than the wafer that came out of there. So I had to bend that electrical tab just a little bit to make it hold in there right. So hopefully that'll hold in and this will work good. Well, we actually have a bad latch. The motor works. It's functioning this way and this way. This way is a locking mechanism, so if the door is unlocked, it goes that way, it locks it. However, when it's this way and the motor runs it the other way, it's supposed to unlock it. And something is broken or missing in the latch, causing it not to unlock. So the motor works, the latch has something broken in here. I have no idea what, but it looks like there's a piece of plastic broken off that red thing. So have to go get another latch tomorrow at the salvage yard. Whoop whoop. Sadly, I ended up with a lot of bubbles in the middle of this epoxy. So that's that. I'm gonna go ahead, put that light back together, put this door latch in, leave the panel off, glue the clips on the panel so that tomorrow when I grab a latch, I'll just toss it in there and lock it down. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.